First person plus modern romance plus double cleanliness plus cute treasure plus strong plus he Chenchen was cheated by her boyfriend who had been in love for 5 years, and the third party turned out to be her childhood best friend. After a decisive breakup, she went to a nightclub to relax and accidentally had sex with the richest son Lingyuan, who was pregnant. She got married in such a vague way. Sigh, I was wearing a green hat and lost my body. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Baby, why did I switch from video to voice? Didn't you say you watched my new earrings in video? Qifu Jing asked me with a charming expression on the other end of her phone. Darling, the property management wants me to come down. I sighed in my heart, suppressing the urge to curse and responding with endless disgust and helplessness. Okay, goodbye dear. Qifu Jing winked mischievously and kissed me. I quickly hung up the phone and blocked her WeChat with my backhand. Qifu Jing and I are high school classmates and best friends. Although we don't see many people after graduation, we still often have video and voice calls. But today is the last time I contacted her, because it was just 2.5 hours ago. I saw her boyfriend who accidentally appeared on camera several times in the video and was intimate with her. Coincidentally, that's also my boyfriend Luo Cheng who is on a business trip. My name is Chenchen, and I am a slightly unusual girl. My boyfriend Luo Cheng is my college classmate. We have been in a relationship for a full 5 years since our freshman year. Over the past 5 years, he has been doting on me, making me feel like the happiest girl in the world, and all of this was shattered at that moment. I am not a girl who procrastinates in her work. Since I have discovered it, let's split up. I'm not sure if Qifu Jing knows what to do, but I'm willing to keep the beautiful memories of my best friend and don't want to repeatedly disgust myself because of this kind of thing. So, I ended up with nothing. On Luo Cheng's side, I sent him a WeChat message saying, let's break up. I saw you in the video, please keep your dignity. Then I blocked and deleted it. 5 years of love, even though I was quick and decisive in cutting through the chaos, it's not about letting go and letting go. Putting down my phone and changing into a long dress, I wandered alone on the street for the first time at midnight. The late-night bar was so noisy that in the past, Luo Cheng never allowed me to come to such a place. He always says there are many bad people outside, and I, as a simple and ignorant little white flower, should be protected. But now the little white flower in his mouth has been strangled by him himself. Hee, it's not a big deal. With the crowd and music, I twisted my body. In this ambiguous atmosphere, soon my brain was numbed by alcohol and my body was surrounded by warmth. In the morning, I opened my eyes. They're all white. I'll go, I won't die, will I? Close your eyes and start over again. Open your eyes again, it's still the same. White walls, white beds, white blankets, white me unveiling the blanket secretly. Okay, I probably drank too much and was picked up by someone. The sound of a shower came from the bathroom, and the man had not left yet. I was very calm at this moment, looking around. My skirt was draped over the chair. Without hesitation, I quickly put on my skirt and prepared to leave. The bathroom door opened. I didn't read it wrong, did I? I actually slept with Lingyuan all night. I am a little ashamed and dare not look at him. Besides, he is only wrapped in a towel on his waist, so I am not too embarrassed to look at him. Want to run? Lingyuan gave me a sharp glance, as if I were an irresponsible scumbag. Well, I was in a bad mood yesterday and drank too much. I'm sorry, can you treat it as amnesia? I had no choice but to grit my head and playfully smile. Not good. Lingyuan quickly refused. So. I didn't bring my phone. He wouldn't ask me for selling money, would he? You. Chenchen, don't go too far. In anger, his towel slid down. Sleeping in bed, the spring light has just burst out. Is this something I can watch without spending money? No, how do you know my name? I suddenly thought of this question. I didn't bring my phone when I went out, let alone my ID card. No, how did I pay for the alcohol without a phone? How did I stay at the hotel without an ID card? Now, with her head covered in small white flowers under Lingyuan's eye blade, she sat down on the sofa and said, "You tell me, how much is it?" "What?" Lingyuan was bewildered by my question. After a brief moment of tranquility, a lion-like roar almost shattered my eardrums. Chenchen. Speak up and don't shout. Pay attention to your quality. I feel a bit helpless. I had a chance encounter with Lingyuan, when all the girls in our department formed a circle to cheer on her when she confessed to her. Of course, it can only be said that I know Lingyuan, and Lingyuan definitely doesn't know me. Who is Lingyuan? The only son of the richest man, tall and handsome, with a lot of gold and elegance. Anyone who brings out a woman may have to bow down for him. Besides me, at that time, I loved Luo Qing deeply and only had Luo Qing in my eyes. And now, my heart is as dead as ashes. No matter how handsome and wealthy Lingyuan is, I also treat him like dirt. Looking at Lingyuan's furious face, I helplessly held my cheek with one hand and looked at him. How do you know my name? Since lateral evasion is not possible, let's attack head-on. How do you know? Don't worry, if you take my first time, you have to take responsibility. Lingyuan said, I feel anxious inside and tender outside. What does he mean? Damn it. This is my first time, have I made you take responsibility? I am not willing to be outdone. I have been guarding my innocence for 23 years, how can I not compare to his first time? Lingyuan raised his eyebrows and said, I'm in charge. Let's get married. Master Du, are you crazy? I really didn't want to talk to him anymore. I stood up, opened the door, and left the room, leaving Lingyuan in a daze and a few peach blossoms on the bed. Alas, thinking of me Chenchen, after all, I still suffered from the pain of love. I took a good shower and lay in my own blanket. I want to sleep, but when I close my eyes, my mind is filled with memories of these years because my parents were very busy with business. I studied at my grandmother's place during my 3 years of high school. At that time, Qifu Jing and I were desk mates, and we were both pretty girls. The difference is that I am from outside, and my parents instructed me to keep a low profile in everything. Qifu Jing's parents were the local paper-making king, and she was pampered like a princess. In her first year of high school, her parents had already helped her complete the procedures for studying abroad. So during her 3 years in high school, Qifu Jing spent her time dating different boys. The only subject she needs to study carefully is English, and I am studying twice as seriously because I have to return to Shanghai for the college entrance examination. In fact, the exam papers in Shanghai are simpler, and there are also more options for schools. But because everything in the future is unknown, with a proactive attitude, I have not slackened. In the second semester of my 3rd year of high school, I returned to Shanghai and achieved excellent results in the college entrance examination. I successfully entered the school of my dreams. Qifu Jing went to the beautiful country without taking the college entrance examination. Although we were separated by the Pacific Ocean, it did not hinder our friendship as best friends. I have a rigorous plan for my future, and studying for 4 years in university in China is something I must go through. As for whether to go abroad in the future, it depends on my future direction of maturity. Luo Cheng's appearance was an accident, he made my world see a rainbow. He loves me, and I also love him very much. It can be said that during our 4 years in college, we were recognized as a model couple. Unlike other campus couples, I insist on staying for the first time after marriage and never staying overnight with Luo Cheng. Luo Cheng has agreed. He said he loves me, so respect me. Hee, it's a bit ironic. Yesterday morning, he and I were still on the phone discussing taking him to see my grandmother in 3 days, but last night he gave me such a big gift. Sigh, ding dong, the doorbell rang. My 2-night stand partner proposed to me. You are listening at novel full.audio. Hehe, I know who it is even if it doesn't open the door. As if I hadn't heard it, I still lay on my spacious bed, ignoring it. Morning, can you listen to me explain? Luo Cheng's voice was faintly visible. What is there to explain? Explaining 10,000 sentences with a multitude of reasons is not as authentic as what I witnessed with my own eyes. When I didn't want to talk to him, the phone rang and it was the property management. Miss Su, a neighbor complained that your house is very noisy. My home has 1 elevator and 2 households, and next door is an internet celebrity. Her house is so lively that we can have parties every day, but she even complained about my noise. But there was indeed someone arguing at the door, she complained, and I couldn't say anything to refute it. Is someone harassing me? Do you think the property management came to clean up, or should I call the police? I predicted that the property management would definitely take care of it, and soon after, the voice of the property manager and Luo Qing communicating came from outside the door. My phone lit up, and I glanced at it. It was a WeChat friend application. Du Lingyuan. I thought it over and it was approved. I don't want to offend the big shot, and I am also a big shot with a one-night marriage. Du Lingyuan. Su Chenchen, meet you tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock at the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau. Me. Big brother, are you joking? Does the son of the richest man casually marry a wife and go home? Du Lingyuan. I am responsible to you, aren't you afraid to take responsibility for me? Me. My heart is currently surging with waves. Du Lingyuan, the dream lover of many girls. At this moment, the doorbell rang and the property manager shouted outside, Miss Su, open the door. I opened the door and the video surveillance asked, is there anything I need? The manager replied, Mr. Luo said he wants to explain to you, and then he'll leave. Miss Su, could you please give the property management face? We'll be right next to you and won't put you in danger. I thought for a moment and replied to Du Lingyuan. See you tomorrow morning at the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau. Luo Qing outside the door looked very decadent. When he saw me open the door, he quickly stepped forward to grab my hand. I took a sensitive step back and looked at the property manager. The manager reached out his hand to block Luo Qing and said, Mr. Luo, if you have something to say, please speak up and don't get involved. Luo Qing looked extremely sad and said, Morning, listen to my explanation. It's not what you think. Which one? I leaned against the door frame. I'm just going to help her fix her computer. Luo Qing held a lucky mentality. Ah, Luo Qing, didn't she tell you? She had already been on video with me for 2.5 hours at that time. I sighed and asked him helplessly. Luo Qing stood still for 2.5 hours. What did I see? Morning. Luo Qing felt a bit embarrassed, and as I looked at his hesitant expression, I sighed again. Luo Qing, we have been in a relationship for 5 years and have always had a good relationship. Now that something like this happens, I don't want to overturn everything in the past. Just leave a trace in life, so we can see each other better in the future. You can't just eat from the bowl and still look at the pot, right? I'll save you face and announce to the public that our personalities are not suitable for breaking up. I watched him, as gentle and firm as ever. Morning, who is in love? I haven't been allowed to touch them for 5 years. Have you ever loved me? Luo Qing said the reason I least want to hear. Not accepting sexual relations before marriage was my request from the beginning. If you can't accept it, you should tell the truth. I used to accept it, but now I can't. It's probably because you don't love me that much anymore. Right. I said the truth in the calmest tone. Luo Qing shook his head irrefutably and said, I still love you very much, but Qifu Jing can indeed give me more. It's not only physical satisfaction, but also career support. Well, I understand you, I don't blame you. Qifu Jing used to be my best friend, and I would rather believe unilaterally that she was being treated as a mistress by someone else than by someone else. Anyway, I hope you can focus on her in the future. We're done here. After that, I turned around and gently closed the door. Morning. Luo Cheng called me outside. Mr. Luo, please. The property manager led him into the elevator. And I, after swallowing a sip of red wine, posted an official breakup message on my social media, bid farewell to yesterday. When I opened my eyes, it was already November 30th, noon, and countless messages on my phone were all sent by Lingyuan. Let me pick you up and send me the address. Why don't you reply to the message? I'll wait for you at the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau. Don't forget your household registration and ID card. I'm at the Civil Affairs Bureau. Su Chenchen, where are you? Su Chenchen, are you teasing me? Su Chenchen, what's wrong with you? Su Chenchen, why aren't you answering the phone? Morning, don't scare me. What happened? Chenchen, if you don't want to get married, just tell me, don't do this. What's wrong with you? I'm very worried. Morning, what's wrong with you? I asked the teacher to check your address. Morning, is Xingshi Meiyuan on Huayuan Street right? Morning, I'm so worried about you. Morning. Morning, I'm outside your door, and no one answered the doorbell. Morning, the property management said you were at home. What's wrong with you? I am very shocked. Why does Lingyuan care so much about me? No, he doesn't read social media. I didn't block him. Just as I was staring blankly at my phone, another message popped up. Morning, I smashed the door. I'll go, my new gate. Don't do it. I jumped up and rushed towards the door. At the moment I opened it, a shell crushed me heavily to the ground. Fortunately, I saw you. Didn't I hurt you, did I? Lingyuan's arm supported the ground with his elbow in a strange posture. It is obvious that he is afraid of hurting me, and my heart is slightly feverish. But just now I heard a slightly broken sound and looked left and right, but nothing fell to the ground. Let's get up first. It's not good to be seen like this. I stuttered and shyly said to him. I may not be able to get up for now. Lingyuan felt a bit embarrassed. What's wrong? I didn't quite understand and even pushed him. Ah! He shouted with extreme restraint, and my face turned even redder. Even though we already have the closest relationship, everything happened without my awareness, not to mention it. Get up. I pushed his arm again, and he let out another sound, which was quite loud this time, and then fell on me. Taking advantage. I'm a bit angry, what do you mean? My elbow may have broken, please let me take it slowly. He whispered in my ear, and hot air sprayed into my ear, causing me to shiver involuntarily with excitement. What? How are you now? Although the heart of spring is stirring, I can still distinguish the importance. You have to move me away, he awkwardly tried to move to my side. Don't move by yourself. I stopped him. Ah, yes, I'm holding my phone. Clever, I not only dialed the property phone number, but also called 120. 3 or encountering double betrayal. You are listening at novel full.audio. When the property management arrived, they saw Lingyuan pressing on me, and the situation was extremely ambiguous. I don't know, but I thought it was Lingyuan who was too aggressive while doing something that caused the accident. My lovely internet celebrity neighbor exclaimed in surprise, Lingyuan, my goodness. Then. A live broadcast was launched. 120 arrived quickly, and when I was forced to accompany Lingyuan to the hospital as a family member, the reporter had already occupied the emergency hall with long guns and short cannons. This. I was confused. Don't be afraid, there's me. Lingyuan's painfully pale face revealed a warm smile. I was infected by this smile, calmed down, and went to complete all the procedures. At this moment, the butler of the Du family and Du Lingyuan's personal assistant also arrived. "Mr. Du, how are you?" "Young master, how are you?" the assistant and butler asked anxiously. "I'm not a big deal, I accidentally broke a bone." Du Lingyuan kept staring at me as I was busy, and I looked towards him with worry. When my eyes met, my face turned red. "Young master, who is that young lady?" Butler Zhao Bo saw the clues and asked with a smile. "My wife." Du Lingyuan blurted out, and I walked over with a red face. "Don't shout, the hospitalization procedures have been completed. Let's go get a bone scan first. We are in the emergency department, so we can skip the queue." Zhao Bo looked at me, then at Du Lingyuan, with a smile full of spring energy on his face. However, my assistant Gu Qing said more directly to me, "Madam, you've worked hard. I'll come later and you can accompany Mr. Du." I wanted to argue, but was overwhelmed by the happiness in Du Lingyuan's eyes. After bone setting, Du Lingyuan's face became even paler. It can be seen that it is very painful. I accompanied him into the ward, and the nurse asked the family to help Du Lingyuan change his hospital uniform. Gu Qing didn't even come in, while Zhao Bo decisively went out with the nurse. There was only me and Du Lingyuan left in the ward, and the room fell into an awkward silence. "I want to take off my suit," Du Lingyuan broke the silence. I said, "Oh, let me help you later." He let out an almost imperceptible and stood up. When he was just orthopedic, the sleeve on the injured arm had already been cut open. I easily took off his shirt and changed it into a hospital uniform. Pants. I hesitated for a moment. Looking at him, his fair face was now flushed and said, "Help me." I swear, living for 23 years, this is the first time I've touched a man's pants. I tried hard not to look at his changing lower body and helped him put on the patient's pants with a bright red face. Not right. It seems like something went wrong when Du Lingyuan lay down. He looked at him with a happy expression on his face. I feel more and more as if I have overlooked something and done something foolish. Du Lingyuan, can you tell me now how you got to know me? I sat on the chair by the bed, looking for a topic to solve the awkwardness. Morning, I have always known you. It's just that you used to be young and didn't remember me, Du Lingyuan said to me sincerely. I am not certain. Du Lingyuan has no intention of answering me, and I am not afraid of him either. Since I knew each other since I was a child, just ask my dad tonight. Let's get married. He proposed to me again, and I was actually willing, but he said, give me some time to think about it. Tomorrow I will undergo surgery and be discharged in 5 days. If you are willing, could you bring your household registration book and ID card to pick me up? If you don't come, I won't bother you anymore. After speaking, Du Lingyuan covered his head with a blanket. Okay. I replied monotonously, stood up, turned around, and walked out of the ward. When I closed the door, I glanced back and saw him stealing an affectionate glance at me, holding on to the corner. I am walking alone on Nanjing Road, with Du Lingyuan in my mind. In my memory, my parents didn't have any friends with the surname Du. Could it be that I haven't contacted them for many years? Du Lingyuan is really handsome. He is tall, with broad eyebrows and a pair of big eyes that shine like stars in the night sky. His straight nose bridge paired with thin lips made his entire face look so three-dimensional. I am cold-skinned myself, and I thought there were few men with the same skin color as me. And he seems to be even whiter than me. Thinking about it, it's really dramatic. Why would he and I inexplicably sleep together? How could he immediately recognize me as his wife? Suddenly, I smelled a sweet chocolate scent, and following the scent, I drifted into a small shop called Wind Chime by the roadside. I have been addicted to sweetness since childhood, and all kinds of sweets are my favorites. Especially chocolate, I really love it. Dad, in order to satisfy me, excavates all kinds of chocolate varieties in the world. I love my good dad so much. I want this. 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 This is a handmade chocolate shop. I ordered their signature hot cocoa and 6 cute handmade chocolates. I sat on the sofa in the corner by the window of the store, with a panoramic view of the bustling and beautiful street scenery of Nanjing Road. Miss, your dish. This is our latest flavor of chocolate raspberry cake, and I'll give it to you for a try. The lovely beautiful waitress gave me a sweet smile. It's really a fairy shop. Wow. The beautiful wind chimed, and Qifu Jing's familiar voice came. Darling, I want to eat chocolate. When did she come to Shanghai? I covered my face with a magazine. Buy it for you, take a look, what do you like? Luo Qingchong indulged his little woman. Chenchen loves eating chocolate the most, she will definitely like this restaurant. I felt a little more comfortable hearing Qifu Jing say. Is that right? Luo Qing clearly pretended not to know the person, Chenchen. You don't know. Qifu Jing playfully played with his ears. Your best friend, how could I know? Luo Qing appeared impatient, in stark contrast to the previous indulgence. Ha ha ha. Qifu Jing's iconic and unbridled laughter echoed through this small storefront. What are you laughing at? Luo Qing looked at her puzzled, but he widened his eyes as if realizing something. Su Chenchen, tell me you don't know who she is. Ha ha ha. Qifu Jing's hand suddenly lightly patted Luo Qing's profile. Qifu Jing, do you know? Luo Qing's car key fell to the ground. Of course, otherwise you think there's something special about you that attracts me. The thing that attracts me the most is that you're Su Chenchen's boyfriend. Qifu Jing was completely afraid of Luo Qing turning his face and looking at him provocatively. Now I'm your boyfriend. Luo Qing was indeed a 1,000-year-old fox who had cultivated his essence, and his face quickly returned to normal. Good. I like a shameless but exceptionally clear-headed man like you. Qifu Jing hugged Luo Qing's waist with satisfaction. The disgust on Luo Qing's face was only for a moment, and he gently surrounded his beautiful girlfriend. My stomach felt as if it was being grabbed and painful until they left. I put the magazine aside and covered my stomach, lying on the round table. I can't avoid experiencing double betrayal in the end. Miss, how are you? Do you want to call 120? With a gentle male voice in my ear, 2 pieces of stomach medicine were handed to me. For impulses cannot be eaten as food. You are listening at novelfull.audio. I declined the help of kind-hearted people and hurriedly left this store. I know I'm not suffering from stomach problems, I'm just disgusted by that dog couple. After arriving home, I sorted my thoughts and recalled the relationship between me and Qifu Jing over the years. She went abroad to study in her 3rd year of high school and said it would take 7 years for her to pursue a bachelor's and master's degree, but she returned early this year. During this period, we kept in touch via video and phone, and she also told me that she came back because she didn't want to study anymore, or in other words, she couldn't finish her studies. I still know her very well, and when I think about it, I know what she is doing there every day. It's definitely not just about going to school. At that time, Luo Qing and I were in a passionate relationship, and I told her without reservation. She has been changing boyfriends, and the boys she has dated can form a United Nations. We haven't seen each other since she returned. I'm sure I haven't shown her photos of Luo Qing, I don't know when and how they got together. However, currently it seems that no matter what, Qifu Jing cannot see me well. I don't know where I made her unhappy, so I dug into my best friend. But maybe she didn't even consider me a best friend at all. I can live well, but I can't be better than her early morning dew Lingyuan. Morning, I have surgery today. Can you come and see me? Me. I have some things to attend to today, so I won't go. Wishing you all the best. I really have something to do because I am busy moving to another city. Shanghai is my hometown, where my parents gave birth to me. But I can't stand breathing the same air with that dog man and woman, so I'm leaving. In the current situation, what I am most reluctant to part with is actually Du Lingyuan. From a single perspective, Du Lingyuan is really attractive. But the impulse of a one-night stand cannot be eaten as a meal. Getting married means living a life. In my dictionary, there is no divorce, only widowhood, so marriage is better for me than for me. I didn't have any luggage, I drove for a few hours by myself. When I arrived in Hangzhou, I was already so hungry that my chest pressed against my back. Even in the food desert, I am still smart enough to quickly rush into KFC when I am hungry. With a globally unified formula, it won't taste bad, right? I'm too naive. Alas, eating enough counts. After completing all the procedures in the afternoon, I will move into a new house in Hangzhou in the evening. This place was just renovated a few months ago, and it was originally a big surprise I wanted to give to Luo Cheng. Now there is no need for this kind of self-moving romance, a person's life is more beautiful. That night, I didn't tidy up anything and just fell asleep. 20. Du Lingyuan. Su Chenchen, you really didn't come. 8:05 Du Lingyuan. Morning, why is there no one in your family? You're not running away from marriage, are you? 8. Du Lingyuan. Chenchen, I want to marry you. It's not an impulse, it's genuine. 8. Du Lingyuan. Morning, if you feel that 5 days is too short, then you can think about it for a while longer. I won't disturb you. 8:35 Du Lingyuan. Morning, are you still in Shanghai? I have no idea when my phone ran out of battery. I habitually looked at the time when I opened my eyes and realized that there was no electricity. Randomly flipping out the charger and plugging it in, turning on the phone, the entire screen was filled with messages from Du Lingyuan. He is so energetic, it seems that the surgery went smoothly. I clicked on the dialog box and wanted to reply to him, I have already left Shanghai. On second thought, I didn't want to have anything to do with him and explain why so clearly. So I just threw my phone aside to charge it, and I haven't cleaned up the house yet. I don't have any other skills, my best skills are cooking food and home storage. For this, I also gained over 1 million fans. It's just that my videos never show up, and I don't do live streaming or sales myself, so that used to be my hobby. Even so, the internet has brought me millions of dollars in income every year. I have decided to live in Hangzhou partly because I also want to try the industrialization of internet celebrities. I don't want to work in a company, except for my dear dad, mom, and grandma. No company can tolerate me being late and leaving early every day. The weather in Hangzhou and Shanghai is not much different, with continuous cloudy and rainy weather during the Huangmei festival. Fortunately, the temperature is not high. Although I weigh less than 90 pounds, I really enjoy sweating. It's only 28 degrees now, and I'm already sweating profusely. I thought for a moment, it seems like I should hire a long-term hourly worker. I have booked 3 aunties online for an interview tomorrow. Busy until noon, Du Lingyuan had already sent countless messages, and I had no choice but to reply to him, it's quite busy, you're recovering well. He didn't reply, maybe he also understood my meaning. He is indeed a gentleman, not entangled. But his lack of entanglement makes me feel uncomfortable. Perhaps because he was my first man, in my heart sigh the same sentence. Impulsiveness cannot be eaten as food. I had a simple Kanto dish at a convenience store and headed straight to the pet store. I really like cats and dogs, but because Luo Cheng used to go to my house often and he was allergic to animal hair, I have been enduring not having them. Now that I am free, of course I want to live a life of both cat and dog. I even thought of the name of my cat, son, and daughter in my heart. The babies in the pet store are really beautiful. I have visited several stores, but there are still no babies who fall in love at first sight. As I was walking dejectedly by the roadside, I felt like someone was following me and occasionally rubbing against the hem of my long skirt. Can't you recite like this? Encountered a pervert. Look around, people come and go, how dare this guy? No matter what. I want to question him. Anyway, with so many people, it's no big deal if I start a live broadcast. You're sick. I mustered up the courage to turn around and curse. Well, as soon as I finished speaking, I held back. There's no pervert following me at all. The one following me is a black and white little guy biting at the corner of my skirt. I squatted down and stared at this little servant with big eyes. The little guy is quite straight and clean, with a collar around his neck. He must have a master. I reached out and it took the initiative to throw itself into the embrace, it was so cute. Weigh the weight, it won't exceed 7 pounds. This little guy is over a month old at most. I held it and looked around, recalling how long it had been with me. It took me 10 minutes, right? I have been walking on this road just now. After thinking for a moment, I held on to it and walked towards its owner, hoping to meet it. Who would be willing to discard such a beautiful husky? Did you get lost on your own? I poked the tip of its nose with my finger, and it even extended its tongue to lick my hand. Is this fate? In an instant, I didn't want to go find its owner anymore and wanted to take it as my own. But perhaps the other party is anxiously searching for it, and it is also a treasure in their hearts. After walking all the way, I strolled to the pet store and didn't find any homes or people looking for things. Baby, it seems destined that you're going to live with me, I muttered to myself, and the little one licked my face with his tongue as if he understood. I walked into the neighboring pet hospital holding it. May I start pursuing you? You are listening at Novel Full.audio. It's small. After the blood test, the doctor told me clearly, it's abandoned. The dog can stay with you for 10 minutes, and its survival desire is really strong. Really? I asked the doctor in surprise. The doctor probably thought I didn't want it anymore and said somewhat disappointed, the cure rate for this disease is indeed very low, but it's not incurable. Moreover, its current condition is still very mild. Then you are my dog. I ignored the doctor's words and pressed my forehead against Gobao's forehead. I will cure you. Will you call me Su Dabao in the future? Accompanied by a slight cry, Dabao licked my nose again. So. Treatment, the doctor tentatively asked me, looking at his expression, it was somewhat unbelievable. Treat it. It's the mother who chose me to be it. How could I let it down? I said to the doctor with a bright expression, and I could see that the doctor was very pleased because I saw him secretly breathe a sigh of relief. Because Dabao's symptoms were still in the early stages, I did not allow him to be hospitalized. After equipping himself with all his dog-keeping equipment, Dabao quietly drank water, took medicine, and went to sleep. I have a sudden sense of mission to be a mother, sitting by its bed all the time. I also opened another account for it to record its treatment status. As the doctor said, Dabao started to have a fever and vomit in the evening, but he still worked hard to eat and drink water. My dad once said, whether it's humans or animals, as long as they can eat and drink, they can live. So my treasure will definitely carry it over. At 7 o'clock in the evening, the doorbell rang and a middle-aged aunt in her 50s stood at the door. I was stunned for a moment, and only then did I realize that it was the aunt I had scheduled an interview with through her self-introduction. Auntie is very dedicated to helping me clean, but when she looks at Dabao, there is a hint of disdain and avoidance in her eyes. Is this dog sick? She couldn't help but ask. Yes. Tiny. I had no emotions to talk to her anymore. It can't be cured, just throw it away quickly. If you die at home, you'll get bugs. She looked a bit disdainful. Auntie, thank you for your hard work. That's all for today. I gave her 100 yuan in cash, but she didn't refuse and took the money and left. The two aunties who followed were also diligent in their work, but without exception, they made me throw away the treasure. I didn't lose my temper and gave each aunt a hard work allowance of 100 yuan, politely seeing them off. Everyone has different attitudes towards animals, and I cannot force others to do anything. Just be good at myself. Dabao, you must carry it over, we'll be a family in the future. I touched Dabao's belly, not sure if it was because I was dizzy. Dabao, who was already asleep with his eyes closed, seemed to nod. So, I sat on the massage chair next to Dabao's bed and slept all night. In the morning, I was awakened by the ringing of my phone. In a daze, I grabbed the phone on the nearby table and pressed the answer button, saying, "Hello, is this Miss Sue? Please speak." I listened to the voice on the phone very gently, and couldn't help but become gentle. "Miss Sue, I'm sorry to bother you so early. I wonder which of the 3 aunties we sent over yesterday you chose." It turned out to be a housekeeping agent. "The 3 aunties are all good, but I have a sick little dog at home. They may not be used to interacting with animals, so I won't force them." I truthfully told her that just because someone doesn't like animals, we can't just say they are not good, right? "That's it. Let's arrange another aunt to come over today and see how it goes," the other party politely suggested. "Okay, thank you." Putting down the phone, my big brother looked at me with big eyes open. "Are you hungry? Mom will get you something to eat. First, take your temperature and drink some water." I checked and Dabao defecated and urinated. I placed a urine pad under it in advance, and even when it woke up, it didn't run around, so the house was very clean. That little odor indicates that its metabolism is normal. My body temperature is normal now. Dabao is amazing. You drink water, and Mom will make food for you. I quickly soaked dog food in sheep's milk and boiled 2 eggs. You eat egg yolk, I eat egg white. We had breakfast together. Video doctor showed him Dabao's stool condition and reported on his current condition. The doctor nodded, indicating that the recovery was good and there should be no life-threatening condition. I breathed a long sigh of relief, but fortunately, I found Dabao early on. If we really procrastinate for another day, the little one may die. The decision to come to Hangzhou is really right. Around 11 o'clock, Aunt Zhou recommended by the agent came. Her face is very good. After introducing herself at the door, she said directly, "The agent said that you have a little dog at home and it is currently sick. Can I take a look?" I nodded and took her to Dabao's bedside. At this moment, Dabao had already stood up and when he saw his aunt, he called out twice with caution. I said, "Be good, don't shout. This aunt is a good person." Dabao obediently lay down again. Auntie looked at it carefully and didn't say anything else. She only asked me about the layout of my house and my requirements for housekeeping work. After I briefly informed her, Auntie started working and before leaving, she changed the diaper for Dabao. "Tell me to pay attention to ventilation and the precautions for keeping a small dog." I still gave her 100 yuan, and she said, "It seems that you are also very satisfied with me. Let's settle it together every month." After speaking, she left with the garbage. I sent a "okay" gesture to the agent. Dabao was very energetic. When Aunt arrived the next day, she had already slowly walked to the door to greet her. Auntie crouched down to touch its dog head and said, "You're doing well, come on." Auntie and I agreed to work for 2 hours each morning and 2 hours each afternoon, but it wasn't until 2 days later that I realized that Auntie would actually stay at my house for 6 hours. She really has a sense of boundaries, so much so that when I was working, I didn't notice that she had extended her working hours. However, she did not mention the demand for a salary increase to me, as if she didn't care about those 2 hours. A week later, my baby recovered. During this period, besides my aunt coming to take care of us every day, Dr. Chen from the pet hospital also came every other day to check on my baby. When he told me that Dabao had recovered his health, I excitedly hugged the little one and cried. This is my first time raising a small animal, and it's still my sick baby. I'm really excited. Late at night, Lingyuan sent a message. In the morning, I waited for you in a wheelchair at the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau all afternoon. I already know that you have left Shanghai and gone to Hangzhou, but I still want to wait, but unfortunately no miracle has happened. I also thought about it. Perhaps my proposal was too abrupt and scared you. Here, I want to apologize for being late and hope you can forgive my impoliteness. So from now on, can I formally pursue you? I looked at my phone and hugged Dabao, saying, "Can I find a dad for you?" Dabao plunged into my arms and I calmly replied, "Sure." Did he really fall in love with me? You are listening at novelfull.audio. From that day on, Lingyuan began to pursue me crazily. I didn't hide my address because I know it's useless to hide it. As long as he wants, he can quickly find me. I just asked him to recuperate well, and at the same time, it gave me time to sort out my work in Hangzhou clearly. So every day on social media, his messages were left, and I still went my own way, calmly and without hesitation. Morning, I went to the company today and the employees were watching me like monkeys. I was emoting, Lingyuan complained to me in a pitiful video. He is so cute like this. When we were studying, the only intersection between us was when we had an overlapping public class in my sophomore and senior years. In that class, all the girls were staring at him. Not to mention, Lingyuan's eyes seemed like a deep starry sky, as if he would be sucked in at a glance. Combined with his elegant temperament, three-dimensional facial features, and super invincible family background. It's hard not to let him become the focus of all of this. Generally, the wealthy second generation will study abroad at an early age, but a small number of people will not study abroad. Lingyuan is one of them, and of course, there are also two. His grades are very good, although he is not the top scorer in the college entrance examination, he is also among the top 50 in the city. I was admitted to the best undergraduate and master's programs in our school, and during my first year of graduate studies, I was also admitted to a doctoral program in a different field. Since I started college, I have often had girls set up candles, balloons, and even booked luxury hotels to confess their love to him. Every confession was earth-shattering, but he politely refused, including the one I witnessed the whole process with my own eyes. They said that every time Lingyuan refuses, the reason is, "I have a girlfriend now." No one has ever seen him get closer to any girl, a high-quality male who comes and goes alone, which is probably the most difficult thing to overlook. Thinking of his deep affection for his first love, my heart feels a bit strong. I don't know why that girl separated from him. If someone as excellent as him could be so devoted, that girl must have some exceptional qualities. Of course, no one could have imagined that he, who used to refuse people thousands of miles away, would now rely on being spoiled and cute to me. So, I also have some outstanding qualities, right? Emo. What should I do? I asked him jokingly while doing the data. I want my wife to hug me. He seems to be constantly moving on his side, sometimes dark and sometimes bright, which makes my eyes feel uncomfortable. Seeing me constantly rubbing my eyes, he said, "Switch to voice, focus on your work. If I disturb you, hang up first." I quickly said, "Switch to voice, my flash may have increased again. I'll just record the data without hanging up." Lingyuan was very happy that I didn't hang up the phone and excitedly said, "Morning, you have been running for half a month, and I miss you quite a bit. To be honest, I also miss you a bit." I didn't hide my liking for him, although the way we met was a bit special, and I only broke up half a month ago, I did develop a liking for you. Really? I'm so happy. Lingyuan's voice couldn't conceal his happiness. He really fell in love with me. Wang. Dabao whispered to me with a questioning expression at the bedside. It was asking for my opinion, asking if it could sit on the sofa and lean against me. I patted the position next to my left buttocks and said, "Dabao, come on." Dabao is really well behaved. It's not as mischievous as Era mentioned online. It's been at least half a month and it never breaks down. My mother said it was just recovering from a serious illness, and after a while it fully recovered, some of it started to make trouble. My dad said it's a husky, not a second ha, but a different type of the same variety. I really convinced my dad of his fallacy. Auntie said that because Dabao was saved by me in the most critical moment, in his world, I am his god and everything. So for me, it only repays kindness and won't cause me trouble. I don't care what the reason is for it, all I know is to make it the happiest dog. Now I hold my big treasure with my left hand, tap the mouse with my right hand, and prepare my boyfriend to act coquettishly on my phone. Hehe, Kason. Wang. Dabao suddenly sat up and called out in the direction of the living room. I was startled. Aunt Jo had just finished work and left for half an hour, and there were no other living creatures at home except for the two of us. Dabao's throat let out a muffled roar. I started to get nervous, holding on to the big treasure that was about to escape and not letting it run towards the living room. Morning, what's wrong? Perhaps I heard Dabao's somewhat abnormal cry, and I didn't respond to him for a long time. Lingyuan began to worry. It seems like someone has been rushing towards the door, Dabao, I replied with some nervousness. Isn't it one elevator and one household in your area? Anyone who comes to your floor must have a card to get out of the elevator, Lingyuan asked me with clear thinking. That's right. I slapped my head and found out that only my parents and I had this door card. I held Dabao and casually put on my slippers, running from the study to the living room. Morning, where is the room? Mom's gentle voice came in. Mom. I rushed into my mother's embrace. My dear mother snatched the treasure, and I was also held in my arms by a wider chest. Dad. I miss you all so much. Good baby, come on, grandma kiss me. As my dad burst into laughter, I saw my mom kissing Dabao wildly, while Dabao looked at me with an expression of helplessness on his face. I patted its little dog's head and said, accept your life. This old lady is the best, your good day has come. Who's the old lady? Look at how beautiful I am. My mother doted on me and gave me a white glance, freeing her hand to grab me from my dad's arms and kiss Dabao together. Dabao, I also accept my fate. I expressed this fact to the horrified Dabao in a panic. Yes, at this moment, I could clearly see a shift in mindset from surprise to balance in the eyes of a dog. Dad rescued us and carried me to the living room sofa to sit down. Don't doubt it, it's just lifting. Although I'm only 1.6 meters tall, does my dad have a height of 1.85 meters? As for why I am so short, my dad said it's because he likes short girls, while my mom was very honest and said, I'm short, my mom is a mess, you follow me. Oh, my dad said he likes small girls, not me, but to confess to my mom, right. I have long been accustomed to their inhumane behavior of abusing dogs, turning a blind eye to it. My parents have been doing business overseas for many years and rarely come back to accompany me. Before college, during winter and summer vacations, it was me who flew over to accompany them, and even the emergency contacts during my studies were written with my grandmother's name. Chenchen, why did you suddenly break up with Luo Cheng? After getting intimate, my father still asked me. The huge debt of Qifu Jing's father. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. I was stunned for a moment because I didn't tell my parents about breaking up with Luo Cheng. How did they know? My parents work overseas all year round, otherwise they wouldn't have stuck me at my grandmother's house for so many years. Before going to college, every winter and summer, would go to Nanyang to reunite with my parents. Sometimes my grandmother accompanies me, sometimes I go by myself. After entering university, parents began to transfer their careers to China, so their frequency of returning was relatively higher. My parents and grandmother both know about my love affair. It was originally planned that my parents would officially return to China to settle down this month, so let me show Luo Cheng to my grandmother first, and then they will come back and invite Luo Cheng's family to dinner and talk about marriage. Before discovering that Luo Cheng was cheating, Luo Cheng really loved me. But he is not particularly enthusiastic about marriage. It can be said that after graduating from Luo Cheng University, he never told me about his dream of getting married again. Now thinking about it, perhaps in his opinion, I am only suitable for dating and not for marriage. His family is not well off, there are many siblings, and his parents do not have medical insurance. And his abilities and appearance in all aspects are also quite outstanding. Perhaps he thinks that getting married should find a woman who can help him turn things around. Now, in his eyes, Qifu Jing is precisely the life-saving straw. So, after Qifu Jing found him, he could cut off without hesitation. Perhaps for this reason, when he faced my accusations, he could openly tell me that Qifu Jing could give him more. Although I cherish these 5 years of love, I am even more regretful that my youth has fed my dog. Sorry Dabao, Mom didn't scold you. Of course, I did 2 things right. One was not having sexual relations with him, and the other was not telling him that I have a wealthy father. I said, I am not an ordinary girl. It's not because I'm beautiful and good at reading, there are so many girls with such attributes like a cow's hair. But with her beautiful appearance, good academic skills, and a wealthy father's proud daughter, she should count with her fingers, right? Of course, I am also one of the members of the wealthy second generation who refused to study abroad early. From some perspectives, Du Lingyuan and I are the same kind of person. That's great, I accidentally found something in common between the two of us. Of course, he may not go abroad because of his first girlfriend, or perhaps for some other reason. And I have only one reason. I have my plan. Dad, how did you know I broke up with him? I still ask the question in my heart. Didn't you post on your social media? Mom asked me in response. Oh, I forgot to block you all, I shrugged. It's not entirely because of my social circle, my dad touched my head. Didn't you make an appointment with us to take him to see your grandmother? Your grandmother said you didn't take him, so we combined it with your social circle to make sure. Of course, Dad still let people know about it. Property management, right? I suddenly realized. Yes, baby is really smart. Dad burst out laughing. It's actually nothing, I said lightly. I accidentally discovered that he had an affair. Oh, then let's divide it. Dad thought for a moment and immediately opened his own phone. Take a look at this. I took my phone and it was a resume forwarded by the HRD of the group to my dad, which was the sales department manager in Hangzhou. The title was clearly Luo Cheng's name. Dad, do you think he's suitable? I thought for a moment, and Luo Cheng's job does indeed match some of my family's business. The resume is suitable, but the character is not suitable, but I am preparing to admit him. Dad stood up and went to brew a cup of tea himself. Still drinking tea so late? Mom scolded coquettishly. Dad grabbed the back of his head like a child, and Mom walked over to help him brew it. Okay, they always abuse dogs all the time, Dad, you didn't have to ask me if you accepted him. But he cheated because this woman's family is a paper-making king and can provide him with career support. So in such a situation, if he is still looking for a job outside, he needs to be careful with trade secrets. After all, if he really has the backbone, he won't be a shameless person. My words may not sound good, but this is also seeking truth from facts. Oh. The papermaking king. Which one? Dad became interested. The one you know. I spread my hands. Fu Huadong. He can also be considered a papermaking king. It was obvious that his father looked down upon him. Uncle Fu is indeed one of the top tycoons in the local area. I looked at my dad helplessly. His and my mom's expressions now were full of gossip, and I felt that he must have had something to say. Sure enough, my mother was holding the bow on the left, my father was holding a teacup on the right, and the two of them sat me in the middle. Dear friends, with such a large sofa, you two shouldn't be so frugal on land, right? I complained and wanted to stand up, but was suppressed by my mother using Dabao's hands. Let me tell you, baby. 20 years ago, Fu Huadong borrowed 50,000 yuan from our family to start his own business. Later, your father and I have been abroad and haven't met again. He hasn't paid back the money yet. My mother told me this news excitedly. Now it's my turn to gossip. Ah. Do you have an IOU? Yes, yes. When my mother gossiped, it seemed like a little girl, and I really loved it. He was very arrogant at the time, promising to double the repayment every year, and if it were to be over 100 billion this year, it would be over 100 billion. Dad took a sip of tea. I said it wasn't necessary at that time. He insisted on writing it on the IOU and stamping it with his and his wife's private seals. Wow, so tough. I thought to myself, Uncle Fu is a tough guy. Steel is nothing, he's just greedy. At that time, there was a shortage of paper for daily life in China, and he developed in 2 or 3 years. If he had voluntarily repaid his debt, it would still be a small amount of money, and how could I really want him to repay it like this? Dad shook his head helplessly. At this moment, my phone beeped and I remembered that I hadn't closed the video call with Lingyuan. Now that he has turned it off, he probably listened to my conversation with my parents for a while. I didn't think there was anything to avoid, so I messaged him. My parents are here, I'll contact you later. Lingyuan replied. Happy, I'm waiting for you. He is so cute, it made my mind a bit confused for a moment, as if he was just a big milk dog, not the heir of the wealthiest family who made decisive decisions. Morning, what do you plan to do? Dad asked me again. Dad, I don't have any thoughts, actually I don't want to retaliate against them. I brought Dabao over, I don't think it's worth talking about. Besides, Fu Jing's behavior cannot go up to Uncle Fu's mistake. Moreover, Uncle Fu always thought that you were just working overseas and didn't know about our family's situation. So he had no reason to instruct his daughter to harm me, right? That's right. I'd better admit Luo Cheng and see what he has in mind. Dad went to French window. As for the debt, it depends on whether Fu Huadong has anything to do with Fu Jing. Dabao looked up at his grandfather's back with a look of admiration on his face. 8 parents are good or bad, I am so innocent, wuwuwu. You are listening at novelfull.audio. My parents are going on a trip just a few days after returning to China. In my mother's words, I have been spending my whole life making money abroad and have no time to admire the beautiful scenery of my motherland. Now that we are retired, we need to fully appreciate our magnificent mountains and rivers covering over 10 million square kilometers. It makes perfect sense to say that earning money from foreigners and returning to China for consumption is the correct solution. Hey! Not right. What retirement? Mom, are you retired? I asked in surprise. Wrong, it's me and your dad retiring together. Mom raised her eyebrows. Are they retired? What does it mean? This means, no, what will the company do if you retire? Find a manager. I asked cautiously and tentatively. The manager doesn't spend money. We don't have any heirs. What's the use of reading so many books? Dad appeared out of place. How many of you mean? I don't care about this company. I study humanities and don't understand business. I finally understood their meaning and quickly waved my hand to refuse. I'm such a big group, you don't need to do anything. Just sit there for the meeting, listen to the report and sign it. I have some senior executives, they all have shares, and they won't be careless. Dad, imitating his mother, also raised his eyebrows at me. But Dad, I have my own career and studies. I'm doing well in self-media now, and there's no problem returning to my school after taking the postgraduate entrance exam this year. I argued strongly. You don't have any plans to go abroad either, and Hangzhou and Shanghai are not far away. Just take care of the company and repay our kindness in nurturing you. Mom smiled mischievously. But I was about to say something when my dad interrupted, or maybe you can find an old man to marry and let him help you manage the company. Choose for yourself. We're going on a trip, so you can go to the company tomorrow. Dad. Mom. The two of them have already pulled their suitcases into the elevator. What's going on here? My studio hasn't even started yet, so they gave me the group. Auntie couldn't help but smile at me and said, "Morning, hurry up and find someone who knows how to do business, and everything will be fine." Object. Can do business. Marriage. So many keywords instantly lit up my heart. Are you going to work tomorrow? Lingyuan was heavily knocked down by my news. Yeah. I replied wearily. Aren't you preparing for the exam? Lingyuan asked again. Well, my original intention was to do self-media while preparing for the exam and earn some money, I said while holding my chin to my phone. Chenchen, are you short of money? You know I have money, I can give it to you. Lingyuan clearly thought for a while and said, don't misunderstand, I'm not disrespecting you, I'm not taking care of you. What I mean is that you are my wife in my heart, and if you have any difficulties, you can seek help from me. My family situation. Before I could finish speaking, he interrupted me. Chenchen, I'm sorry, I checked behind your back. You and Grandma rely on each other. Does Grandma need money now? No. I was a bit confused. Morning, I know you have thin skin and strong self-esteem, but you are taking the postgraduate entrance examination. Please give me a chance to rely on you. Lingyuan's expression in the video is serious and sincere. Why do you like me? I thought to myself and asked, but in fact, I didn't want to ask. This is a long story, I'll tell you when you agree to marry me. Lingyuan didn't look like he was joking. Shall we start dating? I asked him seriously. I swear, at this moment, I am sincere and I have no intention of using my boyfriend to help me manage the company and do business. As long as you are willing, I am always waiting for you, my fiancé AE. Lingyuan even sat up straight. So, I started my second love. My heart has been cleared, and his sincerity has slowly healed my hurt heart. Chenchen, do you also work in this company? It's really a narrow enemy. Before entering the company, I almost bumped into Luo Cheng. He looked at his phone, it was already past 10 o'clock, and the company's working time was 9:30. You're late. Oh. I thought he wouldn't be able to come to Hangzhou for at least a month, but I didn't expect him to be on duty so soon. Are you coming to work in Hangzhou? Well, our previous company had a new marketing director, and there was a huge difference in our philosophies. The boss's current direction is also in line with his ideas, so I resigned. This approach is very logical, and he has always been resolute in his work. Well, I wish you all the best in your future development, I nodded, and he also nodded and smiled. Chenchen, it used to be that I was sorry to you, and Qifu Jing didn't arrange for me to join her company. To be honest, I regret it now, but I don't have the right to pursue you again, Luo Cheng sighed with self-deprecation. Are you okay? I didn't go in and looked at him coldly. Let's just start dating. As long as I marry her, she always has to pave the way for my future. Luo Cheng was completely undisguised in front of me. You're too honest with me, be careful not to report me, I said with a smile. It's nothing, we're all talking about it. Luo Cheng paused before continuing to say to me, Chenchen, I always thought our encounter was a coincidence, but I didn't expect her to be staring at you. Since she tried to sabotage our relationship in order to protect you, I can't lose you for nothing. I always want to earn back some ticket price. She has many boyfriends, but unfortunately, there is only quantity and quality. I'm afraid I'm the only one suitable for discussing marriage. Luo Cheng said, with a faint smile of pride on his lips. I don't know why, but the man I once loved deeply for 5 years now makes me feel a bit nauseous. Perhaps I have already come out and can see everything from an observer's perspective. I'm going to work now, I said as I walked towards the automatic door, but it didn't move. I looked at it and saw that there was access control at the door. It was my first time coming. Luo Qing walked over and brushed the sensor next to him with his work card, and the door opened. Thank you. I thanked and then walked to the front desk. Chenchen, I am currently the operations director of Qinyu Group in Zhejiang. If you have any issues in the future, please feel free to contact me. You have never worked before, and I know that unless absolutely necessary, you will not come out to work. Luo Cheng's words blew into my ears word by word, and I didn't turn back. I just smiled and said to the front desk, I'm here. The decoration of the CEO's office is really good, with a Nordic minimalist style. There are white swing rattan chairs, live selfie equipment, and even the computer keyboard and mouse on the boss's desk are in Doraemon style. Dad, to be fair, is this really your elderly person's office? Are you sure you and your mom didn't plan for me to join the company from the beginning? Mom and Dad are not good, I want to make a scene with them. But I dare not. Wuwuwu. 9 Speechless, they want me to marry my boyfriend. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Since they are so confident that I, the post-point 2000s generation, have managed them with decades of hard work, then don't blame me for my bold and decisive rectification of the industry. I angrily clicked on the group interface of Home and everything goes well. Baby. Dad, you're tough. Yuan Zhong. How is it? Pretending to suit your heart, right? Big baby. Huashan is so beautiful. Baby. You're calculating on me. Baby. Who dares to plan on my granddaughter? Baby. Grandma, my parents lied to me and asked me to help them manage the company for a few days, but they just threw it at me. Big injustice. Mom, we're retired. Baby. Morning, accept your fate, baby. Grandma, baby. It's time to showcase my achievements in raising children. Baby. Mom, I took many videos of sunrise in the morning. Did you see them? Baby. I've looked at it, Huashan is still as beautiful as ever. Yuan Zhong. Last time you went, my dad was still there. Old baby. What are you doing with that old man who never dies? He's an irresponsible scumbag. Big injustice. Mom, my dad just died early, how did he become a scumbag? Baby. Without waiting for me, he died on his own, abandoning his wife and children, in order to move on to a new life. Poor orphan and widowed mother, I have worked hard to raise you. Big injustice. Mom, I had already graduated from college by then. Big baby. Shut up, don't talk back to your mother. Yuan Zhong. Baby. Alright, you guys play. Baby. Didn't anyone speak up for me? Baby. I went to water the flowers. Big baby. Huashan is so beautiful. Big injustice. Work hard. Baby. What kind of parents are these? That's too much. Humph. Anger arose from my heart, and evil surged towards my gallbladder. I picked up the phone in anger and said, Suya, what time is the shareholder meeting? Boss, the lunch roundtable meeting, the restaurant is scheduled for. Suyahue reported. I interrupted her fiercely, in the conference room, boxed meals are arranged according to the number of people, 1 meat and 1 vegetable, and the standard is 15 yuan. Suya was so surprised that she didn't say a word for a minute. She finally managed to recover and said, Boss, is this? Okay. Very good. I said firmly, the drink is honey lemon tea. Honey's lemon tea costs 4 yuan per big cup, those old guys will definitely charge my dad. Boss. Suya seemed to have something to say, but hesitated to speak. Don't advise me. I decided to refuse the employee's request to rectify the situation. Well, boss, there is a cup of laver egg vegetable soup in the box lunch. Good guy, with this little sister, he also came to rectify the workplace. Of course, it was our first time meeting, and I didn't go too far. I decided to order lemon tea. Then I ordered 400 cups of taro paste, and everyone in the company had 1 cup. Little boss, nice. I feel like there's a bright future in life. The post.00s have courage. Suya, little boss, men and women. Are you pretty? It looks good. Suya looked at the conference room with a slight unease as she sucked on the taro paste. The CEO has instructed the young lady to have a brilliant personality, but I never expected her to be so outstanding. The company has great prospects. Hello uncles and everyone, I am Chenchen. When we first meet, please feel free to treat me like your own child. My polite appearance was definitely a lady from a family. Just a 15 yuan boxed lunch and 4 yuan lemon tea in front of each person, it seems that they are somewhat out of place with the identities of these old gentlemen in suits and shoes. Lao Su's goddaughter has a way. I heard that Chenchen is a top student at a certain university. Why didn't she study abroad? Wei Dong, the CEO of Wei, said with a chuckle. Look at what you said, my grades are so good, and I don't need to pursue a diploma abroad. Of course, I am studying at a higher education institution in China, I replied with a smile. Wei Dong is a downstream enterprise of Su's in the rubber products industry, and currently has a 3-year cooperation goal with Qinyu. He is a little older than my father and has 4 sons, each born to him by 4 women. Everyone is very good at playing, so I can only go abroad to study. Lao Wei, that's why you don't understand. Nowadays, the post.2000s are very thoughtful and have very forward-looking plans for themselves. Don't worry, I heard that Chenchen rejected Harvard's offer. Dong Yuntian, the chairman of the Dong family, made a comeback and conducted research on this legend. I smiled without hesitation and said, it's all from the past. In the future, my niece will have to rely on the help of her uncles to do a good job in business. With this statement, this group of old foxes turned the topic to work. It's said that having a son is useful, but I think it's better to have a daughter. Old Master Su retired from the 2nd tier at a young age, and not all of the family members are daughters in charge. The uncle who is speaking is Lu Yunhai, the chairman of the Lu family, who is sitting next to me. In the information my father gave me, he gave me a high evaluation of this person, saying, righteousness is thin on the sky, and righteousness is sparse on wealth. As for Lao Fu, I haven't seen any relevant introductions about someone surnamed Fu or Fu on the computer. I looked around curiously for a week, and Uncle Lu seemed to understand what I was thinking. He whispered in my ear. Fu Huadong of Fu Shi Paper, your 2 ancestors are from the same place. He retired last month and said that he had pancreatic cancer. It is estimated that time is running out. Now Fu Shi is his daughter Fu Jing at the helm. I nodded clearly. It seemed that Luo Cheng was not familiar with Fu Jing's situation, but only thought he was Fu Jing's best choice. Morning, Fu Huadong still owes your family a private debt. It's best to settle it while he's alive. Otherwise, it will be cool if people leave tea, and it will be a small matter to cause trouble in court, but a big matter to embarrass oneself. Uncle Lu would have pointed it out to me. As he spoke, he picked up the lemon tea on the table, looked left and right, and then at me. I happily helped him insert the straw, and Uncle Lu carefully took a sip. This is fine. Next time, I will also have the children prepare this thing to drink. As soon as Uncle Lu finished speaking, other uncles also started drinking lemonade and nodded in unison. They were so supportive, but I felt a bit embarrassed and felt a bit impolite. But since things have developed to this extent, I will not be vague. Rectify the industry, start from me. Morning, after finishing the business, I'll have dinner. Uncle Lu was clearly instructed by my father to guide me today. I didn't know anything serious, I knew today was a meeting for a large-scale collaborative project. Uncle Lu, I was on duty for the first day today and I'm not very familiar with it yet. Can you tell me more about it with your uncles? I pushed Uncle Lu to start talking about the key points. Uncle Lu's eyes were clearly very satisfied with what I said, and he nodded and said, young people have just entered the family business. Let's take care of it together as we grow older. Everyone nodded, and Uncle Lu continued, our project went very smoothly. Now, as the largest investor in this project, Du has already participated. The top priority is to connect the oil line in the Middle East, and I'm afraid Du Lingyuan will still take Naqiao. Du Lingyuan. I looked at my uncles in question. Yes, the richest man, Du, was already handed over to his only heir, Du Lingyuan, 2 years ago. Speaking of him, he and Chenchen are still alumni, and now he is still a third-year graduate student at a certain university. He is also a child who refuses to go abroad. Wei Dong said of Du with envy on his face. Who raised such a son in their family? It's difficult for the family to revive or not. Since ancient times, heroes have produced young people. This child is handsome, talented, and so sensible. The Du family is at least 3 generations rich. My uncles expressed their admiration for my boyfriend in front of me, and my small vanity was greatly satisfied. I listened to their description of Du Lingyuan's excellence with a seductive expression on my face. Speaking of which, Lao Su is the richest man in Southeast Asia. Now that he has returned to China, he can definitely marry the Du family. Chenchen has no partner, right? An uncle asked me. Yes, my boyfriend is even better. I nodded eagerly as proof. Hey. It's like going to school, dating, and family for children. When it comes to marriage, it's important to choose high-quality men. When your dad comes back, let's talk to him, said an uncle. At this moment, several uncles looked at my face, afraid that I might not be happy, but seeing the smug expression on my face, everyone felt relieved. You're giving me too much face. I sent a message to Du Lingyuan. This is what I should do. My princess. Du Lingyuan replied instantly, what is the specific situation? I'll tell you tonight. I pretended to be mysterious. That night we need to kiss, Du Lingyuan coquettishly said. Kissing the yarn across the screen. I voted against it. He made a pitiful expression and ignored me. Wow, how great a woman's bleeding is. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Although this boxed meal was simple, the guests enjoyed it. When escorting them out, Suya also arranged for some middle and high-level officials to stand in line on both sides of the corridor to see them off. Luo Qing saw me among the bosses and thought I was a mistake, so he couldn't help but drag me behind him, who was walking last. At the elevator, Uncle Lu turned back to find me. I stumbled over in Luo Cheng's surprised gaze. Uncle Lu instructed me a few words and then patted my shoulder. Everyone politely bid farewell to the bosses and returned to their respective workstations. Where is your workstation? Luo Cheng asked me in a low voice. I pouted at the CEO's office and he nodded, let's have dinner together. No, I immediately refused. Breaking up, can't even make friends anymore. Luo Cheng asked me with a smile. I'm in a relationship now and I don't want to break ties with my ex, I answered bluntly, as he shrugged helplessly. You always need to add me a contact information, right? I'm a colleague now, and there may be a need for work. Luo Cheng tried again. I'll join the company group in a few days. If you have anything to do, please email or chat in the group. After that, I walked towards the CEO's office. Luo Cheng doesn't know about my family situation, and today, besides Suya, I haven't had any contact with any other employees. Returning to the office, I sent a message to Suya prohibiting the disclosure of my identity to any employee. I will observe the internal operations of the company for a few days. Suya was very clever, she only replied with an okay gesture and didn't ask a word more. Suya is the HR manager. The front desk is on leave today, and she stayed at the front desk for a whole day to wait for me and welcome guests. When waiting for the red light on the way to work, I transferred 200 hard work fees to her on WeChat, but she didn't say anything else. She replied with a "thank you boss" emoji and received the red envelope. Hangzhou is a famous food desert, but it doesn't affect my pursuit of food. I entered a Chongqing hot pot restaurant and the menu was full of 2 words. Delicious, so I ordered the small dishes on the menu one by one. The waiter reminded me that one person cannot eat it. I reassured her that if she really can't eat, she can pack it. The waiter had something else to say, but when he saw me placing the phone holder and spotlight opposite him, he made an okay gesture. In the city of internet celebrities, my approach is too common, and I'm afraid the waiters really think I'm just recording my life. Although it's true that Chongqing hot pot is not as delicious as Chongqing hot pot, but it doesn't affect my cooking. If I don't compare it, it's about as delicious in the end. I packed a lot and the waiter was very considerate and brought me another piece of butter hot pot base. The young man looks about the same age as me and should have just graduated. On his handsome face, there were 2 dimples with a smile, especially festive. He whispered to me, "Our boss gave you this secret recipe he made and cooked himself, which is different from what you just ate. I am flattered and want to personally thank his boss." He shook his head, indicating that the boss wouldn't come out. I didn't make things difficult for him, got my things ready to leave. The waiter bid me farewell at the door and finally said, "You're so beautiful." I turned around and gave him a bright smile. I parked the car and went straight upstairs. One elevator for one household is a good thing, as leaving the elevator leads to one's own entrance. I put food into the refrigerator, took a bath and took care of my skin lazily, and then lay in front of the French window on the balcony of my bedroom to enjoy the beautiful night view. Lingyuan hasn't contacted me since the news at noon. I have also been tinkering with the specific situation of the collaborative project and forgot about it, hehe. Since that's the case, I care about him now. He's giving me too much face today. When I think of my boyfriend holding so many business lifelines in his hand, and when I think of the anxious expressions on the faces of old comrades when they mention him, I just say, Shuang. Little angel. Mr. Du, what are you doing? He didn't reply, and I didn't take it to heart because my attention was drawn to the cheers of the girl downstairs. From top to bottom, a group of girls form a circle. There seems to be a man doing something in the middle. I can't see clearly on it either. But there's no need to look, because he took a few steps back. With a "Bayou" sound, Mars flashed, and then a rose suddenly appeared in the sky. Although it's an electronic fireworks display, the creativity seems very beautiful. Hangzhou has a rare and beautiful weather, with people painting in the black and blue night sky using starlight. I know this is the spray of UAV, but it's rare to show love at night. Slowly, my gossip face began to take seriously, and then I covered my mouth in surprise. Because Su Chenchen, I love you, appeared in the sky. What a vulgar confession, but I like it. I am just such a vulgar person. The video call invitation rang out, and Lingyuan's handsome face, which was filled with both human and divine indignation, came into view. Morning, have you seen it? Well, I see. My answer was simple, but anyone could hear my happiness. Can I go up? I miss you so much. Lingyuan's face could be seen turning red in the dark night. Come on up, I nodded. This night, for the first time, I truly experienced the taste of a man. According to the Xing education provided by the internet, it can be judged that my boyfriend is very talented, and I have also experienced the happiness and joy time and time again. What is a word called? Joy brings sorrow. Yes, it means extreme joy brings sorrow. After tossing and turning all night, We slept until noon tired, but there was blood on the sheets. Auntie is here. Or was it hurt? It's definitely not the same blood. I didn't take it seriously because my aunt is always punctual and often delays by half a month or even a month. The last time we came, Luo Cheng and I hadn't broken up yet. It's been almost 2 months. I didn't think much and went to the bathroom to get a sanitary napkin to put on. Tie up your hair casually and go make breakfast for Du Lingyuan. He heard my movements and got up too. When I went back to the bedroom to call him for dinner, he was helping me wash my dirty underwear in the bathroom, and he took off the bed sheets and soaked them in the bathtub. I didn't think too much, I just found this scene familiar. Where have you seen it? Oh, I remember when I was young, my dad often helped my mom wash her underwear. When I asked my mom how to ask him to wash her underwear, she just looked happily at my dad in the bathroom. I ran to ask my dad again, and he said, at this time of the month, it's always the most fragile time for my mother's body. Dad needs to take care of her and not let her touch cold water. I asked, why does mom always bleed? Dad said, because she wants to be a mother, she will bleed before we can give birth to you together. At that time, I thought, wow, women bleed so much. My dad told me, my little one will also bleed when he grows up. You need to live for yourself first, and then find a man who loves your mother like your dad, and live a lifetime together. Now, I have found.